Hey guys, welcome back to our last part of factoring, and we're going to look at factoring when we have something in front of the x squared, a coefficient that's not 1. So for our think slash warm up, we have what makes factoring something like 6x squared plus 7x minus 3 more difficult to factor and why? Well, the idea is, right, before if we had like x squared plus 2x plus 1, right, we knew that we could just do x and x, right, because x times x is going to get us this x squared. But now we have 6x squared, so we could have something like 3x and 2x, right? That gets us 6x squared. Well, couldn't we also have 6x and x? And even then, when we do that, once we do our plus something over here, now we have 6x times 1, which gets us 6x instead of just 1x. So everything gets a little wonky, right? Well, there's a method to factoring these, and I highly encourage you write it down and take notes, especially during this one, because I think if you don't, you're going to have a real hard time. And this is really what I recommend writing down is the steps to factoring when we have something in front of that x squared that isn't a 1. So the first step is multiply the first and last number, a and c, and then find what two numbers multiply to ac and add to b. So really similar to what we did before, right? Before we used to find two numbers that multiply to c and add to b, but now we just have to multiply a and c together. And then from here, there's two different ways to go. I have my way, which I then split the middle and factor by grouping, and I'll go over an example about that. It won't make sense until we go through the example. Or there's a way that I'm not comfortable with, but I know that a lot of people like a lot more. So I will try to do it here, and if you like that way better, by all means, please do that way. But it's the same thing. We do steps 1 and 2, and then there's something called the box method. So again, if you're watching this video, I'd pause here. I'd make sure you write these steps down for factoring. So example 1, factor 2x squared minus 3x minus 5. We have a 2 in front of that x squared, so we can't just take it out, or we can't just start writing our, we can't just start doing this, right? Because we have to deal with that 2. And so remember our first step said multiply a and c. In other words, it's multiply the first number and the last number. So we have 2 times negative 5, and that's going to get us negative 10. And now step 2 is we need two numbers that multiply to negative 10, the number we just got here, and add to the middle number here, negative 3. And the two numbers that I think do that are 5 and negative 5 and positive 2, right? We're going to need negative 5 because negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. Then negative 5 times positive 2 is negative 10. And now here's where the steps differ. So I'm going to show my way first. Now, my third step is I say split the middle. And what does that mean? That means I'm going to rewrite 2x squared, but then that middle term, negative 3x, I'm going to use these two numbers I just found to split it up. I'm going to split it up into negative 5x and plus 2x. That's coming from this negative 5 and this 2 I found. And I can do that because negative 5x plus 2x is negative 3x. It's the same thing, I'm just rewriting it. And then I do something called factor by grouping, where I look at these first two terms, and I look at these last two terms, and I ask what I could take out of both. And what I could take out of both 2x squared and 5x, I can't take out anything between 2 and 5, but they both have an x, so I could take out an x. And then after I take out an x, I'll be left with, I will need a 2x there to get 2x squared, and then minus 5 to get minus 5x. And then here I can't take out anything besides 2 with 2x and 5, but I'm going to kind of have an invisible 1 that I can take out, right? It doesn't really matter, but it'll help us visualize something. So then we'll have 2x minus 5 left over. And now this is a good sign. When we have 2x minus 5 and 2x minus 5, we can take that out essentially. So we can take out that 2x minus 5. And now we multiply it by what's left over, and we have that x, and we have that positive 1 left over. And so that's our final answer, and I'll just rewrite it all in red, 2x or minus 5 and x plus 1. And then if we were to multiply this back out, we would see that we got the right answer. But that's my way. And so now we are going to go over the box method, which I think you guys might like more. The only thing that I don't like about the box method is it's kind of guess and checky. This way is going to get you there every single time. And so remember we multiplied to negative 10 and added to negative 3, and we found that to be negative 5 and 2. And now here's what you do with those numbers for the box method. So the first two steps were the same, but now we're going to make a box, and we're going to make 4 sections. And now we're looking up at our original thing, and we had 2x squared. And then this is where we use our negative 5 and 2. We kind of do the same thing where I'll put negative 5 here, but I'm going to slap on an x, and then I'm going to put a 2, and I'm also going to slap on an x. And then our constant out here was negative 5, so we're going to put that in this last box. And now I'm kind of just thinking of what multiplies together to get each of these things. Well, I know that one of these is going to need to be 2x, and this one's going to need to be x. That'll get us 2x times x is 2x squared. And then 2x times positive 1 is going to get us 2x. And then x times negative 5 will get us negative 5x on the top. And then does that work out for the last one? 1 times negative 5 gets us negative 5. So the answer is yes, that works. And so how we write this is we'll have x plus 1. And then we're going to multiply that by 2x minus 5. And you notice we got the same answer. We flipped it around, but that's okay. And it doesn't really matter if it's flipped around or not. And so that's the box method. And just for another example, so our first step is we're going to do the first number times the last number. 6 times 4 is 24. And now we need to find two numbers that multiply to 24 and add to this middle number, negative 11. And so what two numbers do that? Well, I think they're going to have to both be negative, right? And I think the two numbers that are going to do that are negative 8 and negative 3. And we'll just do the box method because I think you guys might find that a little easier to do. And so in the top box, we'll put 6x squared, and then using these two numbers, we'll do negative 8x and negative 3x. We're putting an x on there, and then we have that plus 4 at the end. So we're just going to sit that there. Now, this is where the box method gets a little weird because it's kind of a guess, right, of what you use to get 6x squared, but I'm kind of going to use deductive reasoning here. I see a 3x and a 6x squared, so I probably can't do 6 and 1. So I'm going to write 3x there, and I'm going to see where that takes me. Well, if 3x is there, I know 2x has to be here. 3x times 2x is 6x squared. And then to get negative 3x, I know that's going to have to be a negative 1. And then to get a negative 8x, 2x times what gets us negative 8x, that's going to be negative 4. And that works out, right? Because negative 1 times negative 4 is positive 4. And so then rewriting our expression, we're going to have that be equal to 2x minus 1 and 3x minus 4. And that's our answer for that one. And now just one more example. Again, we're going to take this first number times our last number. That's our first step. So 4 times 6, and we get 24. And now we need multiples of 24 that add to negative 11. And again, we get negative 8 and negative 3, right? So it looks like it's almost going to be the same, but not quite. So let's do our box method. And when we do our box method, our 4x squared goes in here. Our plus 6 goes in there, and then we split up our negative 8x and negative 3x, these two numbers. We slap an x on them and throw them in there. And now it gets a little weird, right? Am I going to use a 4 and a 1, or am I going to use 2x and a 2x? Well, just if I had to guess, I bet a 3 goes here because I have 3 and 6, so it'll be hard to get that otherwise. But if I did that, then I would need, maybe it's a minus 3, so then I could do a positive x up here. But if I do a positive x there, then I'm going to need a 4. Then I'm going to need a 4x down here. And then I would need a negative 2 there. Does that work? Negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times negative 2 is negative 8x. And negative 3 times x is negative 3x. So that works out. And so then we can rewrite this as 4x minus 3 times x minus 2. And again, that one takes a little bit of thinking. I know I went fast through it. So I'm probably a little bit more used to thinking of things like this, so I can kind of go through the box method pretty fast. But if you're worried about the box method, I would just do my method, because that'll get you there every time. But also I know that my method can be a little confusing, especially when doing it for a first time. So it's really just whatever you think you're going to like more, and you're just going to have to get used to it. But that is factoring when we have something, a coefficient in front of that x squared that is now 1.